Hi guys. So this video is to walk you guys through your first essay assignment. And in this first week, you guys read a couple of different texts around this emerging post-war identity from the Civil War up through World War I. So there are a lot of different experiences that you read and a number of different takes or understandings of what it means to be American after the Civil War. And so we're going to kind of think about that for this essay. So you're looking here to kind of contextualize the historical context with the literary aspects of the work. So you're going to choose one of the authors that you read in the unit and develop a written analysis around the work that you read from that author in this unit. So you're going to look not only at the literary aspects of it, but you're going to incorporate specific context from the historical elements, either related to their biography or the cultural or historical impact of what was happening around them. So you're going to contextualize that author and the work historically in relation to the political, social, economic, or philosophical changes that were taking place during this period as we kind of transformed the idea of what it was to be quote-unquote American. So some things you can think about. How does the author and the work influence social, political, or economic change in America? How does the author and work fit or not fit with this new quote-unquote American identity? And then how does the author and work help shape that new American ideal? How do they approach the subject matter? How does the work achieve a goal or message? And then how is it historically situated? So the most important thing here is to think about, why does this text and this author matter? You want to keep your focus on analyzing the text as a piece of literature. You don't want this to become a history essay or a biography essay. This is a literary analysis essay first and foremost, but you are thinking about why the historical context matters in relation to these works. So you should have a clear thesis statement and main ideas, and you should expand on those with evidence from not only the text, but also the outside sources. So there is one research source required for this. You're welcome to use more, but you do need to have at least one. It has to be credible and has to be cited correctly and included in a bibliography. So your bibliography, which obviously doesn't count towards the minimum page length, it should have the work on it, and it should also have the research resource. So it should have at least 2 entries. And as I said, the most important thing is to analyze the text as a piece of literature. So I'm going to use the lectures that you've been watching as an example. Those are primarily analyzing the text. They're looking at metaphors or similes or dialogue or structure or rhyme scheme, all around a central idea or topic. Secondarily, I bring in the author's biography or the historical situation around that text to add context and explain why it's so important that we read somebody like Whitman or Du Bois or Chopin or Zit-Khalasa. So again, most importantly, keep the focus on the text as a piece of literature. And when I say you want to pull in evidence from the text and from your resources, that generally means direct quotes. Paraphrasing is good evidence. Quotes are typically much better, stronger pieces of evidence. So if, for example, you want to tell me that Kate Chopin's The Story of an Hour, I say your thesis was something like, Kate Chopin's The Story of an Hour portrays early feminist arguments against the institution of marriage as a patriarchal institution. That could be a really strong thesis statement. And your main ideas might be something like, Chopin uses symbolism of the open window to represent the freedom of Mrs. Mallard. She also uses an ironic ending, twist ending. She uses irony to underscore, the suffering of Mrs. Mallard and women everywhere in patriarchal, marriage institution, or whatever you want to say, something like that. And then I would pull in very specific quotes. If I'm going to talk about the symbolism of, say, the window, the open window, representing freedom, I'm going to pull in specific quotes that talk about that window or Mrs. Mallard whispering, free, 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 to prove as evidence what I'm talking about. So your essay needs to be 1 to 2 pages in length and is due by Sunday, July 12th at 11:59 p.m. I say midnight, but it's 11:59 p.m. This is a very short essay just because it is your first essay and it's 1 week into the course. Remember that everything is checked for plagiarism through SafeAssign. Note that when I say 1 page minimum, that means to the bottom of that first page. If you write less than that, you will have points taken off. You are always welcome to write more. This is just the 2 pages is not an absolute max. You can actually write more than that if you want, but it's not expected. So you're going to choose a work from the unit that we read, written by either Whitman, Du Bois, Washington, Chopin, or Zwickau. So, for example, if you did Whitman, you could choose a singular poem, or if you do whoever, choose. If you're doing a poet, you can choose 1 poem specifically from that poet. You don't need to choose multiple poems, but it does need to be read in this unit. Some things to make sure that you are paying attention to, because this is the criteria you'll be assessed on. Make sure you have good, close analysis of the work and its major concepts, as well as secondarily the historical context, whether that's the author's biography or the larger historical situation. Good, solid evidence from your text and from your research source to support your claims, both from the primary and primary and secondary source. Your research source should be something credible, so it should be something like, say, history.com or biography.com or PBS or a .edu site or a CNN, something relevant to the text. Obviously, something relevant to what we're discussing, but make sure that you do have a credible source. Proper number of sources, so that means 1 at least. Proper page length, at least 1 page to the bottom. MLA and citations. And remember, there's an MLA optional document and things for you in this week's folder if you need it. A fully developed essay structure, including a significant intro, clear main ideas, and a conclusion, and then careful, clear organization of all ideas. So some things that you can think about when you're thinking about the literary elements that you want to talk about. 1, you're going to want to keep your argument focused and narrow. So you obviously wouldn't talk about all of these things. You'd want to choose maybe 1 main thing. So that's a theme or characterization or symbolism or whatever it might be. And then you could bring in a couple others to kind of help support. So you could think about things like characterizations. You could think about archetypes, protagonists, antagonists, development. Are they flat? Are they dynamic? Are they round? You could think about literary devices like similes, metaphors, foreshadowing, flashbacks. You could think about structure. So think about the dramatic arc, the rising action, the climax, the falling action. Look at the conflict, whether that's man versus society, man versus self, the solution or the resolution or the denouement. You could look at the POV, the narrator, so first person, third person, omniscient, etc. You could look at literary concepts like themes, symbols, motifs, style. And then lastly, secondarily, bring in that historical context around the author, the work, the historical events, the issues of the day, whatever it might be. And just to clarify before I close this out, the MLA structure, make sure you do have in the top left corner your header. So that would be your name, the instructor's name, the class with section number, and the date. Below that, you'll want to make sure you have a title, just regular font, nothing bold, nothing extra large, nothing italicized. Top right corner, you'll want to have the your last name and page number, or just the page number at least, in the top right corner of each page. And then everything is double spaced, Times New Roman, Arial, Cambria, or Calibri. Times New Roman, Arial, or Cambria 12-point font. So it is double spaced. That's MLA. And then your bibliography or your works cited, whatever you want to call it, goes on a separate page. And it has the 2 sources at least, the text that you're analyzing and the research source. So I know there's a lot of information. If you guys have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, this is purposefully broad. I want you guys to choose what you like to talk about. I want you to choose the work that spoke to you most, that you feel you have the most to say about. And let me know if you have questions. Thanks.